Hi guys, welcome to Princess Ninja and Keto. My name's Melanie. Welcome to my daily vlog. Today is a special edition as I go through all 20 pages of this report. Don't worry, I've consolidated it to one page of my Dexafit report comparison from October of last year to September of this year. That would have been yesterday. But I have a disclaimer, okay? I am not being paid by Dexafit of Orlando. I'm not being compensated in any way, shape, or form. I don't get a discount. They don't even know my channel name. So when I do this, I am using Dexafit as a tool to gauge my performance and my outcomes. Just like I gauge my scale, I gauge my waist measurements, I gauge my pant size. None of them are 100% accurate, and none of them will give me the whole story. For instance, when I step on my scale and it's 2 pounds higher, it says, "Hey Melanie, yesterday you didn't poop," right? It doesn't tell me that. It doesn't say, "Hey Melanie, remember that drink you had yesterday? It had 980 milligrams of sodium. You're a little bloated today." It doesn't say, "Melanie, your estrogen level's kind of high, so we're going to retain some water for you." Like, my scale doesn't tell me these things. So I realize that none of them are 100% accurate and none of them tell the whole story. However, I highly recommend that if you are someone like me that really is result driven, which is why I was so devastated yesterday, because I know I could have done so much better, but we'll talk about that as we go. And I'm not going to get emotional. I'm not going to cry. This is not going to be a boo-hoo video. I have written this in a way that I'm celebrating and recognizing and acknowledging my successes. That's my disclaimer. So I'm going to ask you for just a moment to put away your truth and just listen with an open heart and open mind, understanding that I know that this is just a tool. It's not the gospel. It'll never be the gospel because only God's word is the gospel. So I promise today I'm going to get through these numbers and we're just going to stop, pause for a moment, and celebrate each victory. So yesterday, I weighed in on Dexafit at 177.1. I'm going to get into some particulars at the end of this video when I compare my Euro scale to my Dexafit results, because I think that's important. So I weighed in at 177.1, bringing my total fat loss to 10.1 pounds. I took my body fat percentage from 42.3 to 38.7. A healthy body weight percentage, body fat percentage, according to the charts for me, is anywhere between 26% body fat and 29% body fat for average. Now that's the low end of the spectrum and the high end of the spectrum. The typical formula for 1% of fat loss is a little over 2 pounds. So somewhere between 2 to 3 pounds, you'll lose 1% of body fat. With that being said, for me to go from a 38.7 down to a 29%, which is the very highest end of normal average body fat percent, healthy body fat percent, I'm going to need to lose 18 pounds. To reach the most optimal average healthy body percentage of 26, I could need to lose as much as 33 pounds. Now, I had predicted that for me to be a healthy weight, I would need to lose 15 to 20 pounds, which is actually very correct. Remember what I said, to reach the highest end of the normal average body fat, I need to lose 18 pounds. So 15 to 20 pounds was a very accurate guess at how much more actual weight I need to lose. So in order for me to reach that, I would need a goal weight of 152 pounds at my lowest weight, 160 pounds at the higher end. So right now, long term, after I take this little break, I think I'm going to set my sights on 160, which means I have 17 more pounds to lose. Great news is that I only have 5.5 pounds of visceral fat. Now, visceral fat is the fat that gets around your organs. I am actually at the optimal numbers. I do not need to lose any more visceral fat. The 18 to 30 pounds of fat is all subcutaneous. The good news is that with calorie restriction, with diet, and with fitness, I can get to that ideal weight. There's no promises how fast, and that's the part of my heart that's very discouraged. But here we go. I only have 15 to 20 pounds left to reach a healthy body weight. So that is actually great news. Now we're going to talk about the inches that I lost, because that is where my biggest victory lies. I'm not going to get too close to you guys because this is not an attractive picture of me in my underwear and bra, right? But the reason that I have it here is because these are my measurements from last year. And then of course over here, I wrote my measurements from this year. So let's get on with it. In my neck, I lost 0.6. So a little over a half an inch in my neck, and I think you all can agree with that. My bust, I lost 1.4 inches. My waist, which is the most important measurement, your waist to hip ratio, which is a huge measurement of health, went from a 40.6 to a 37.7 for almost 3 inches of fat loss around my waist. My hips lost 1.3 inches. My left bicep and right bicep lost 0.1, so 1/10 of an inch. My left forearm and right forearm both lost 0.2 inches. So I was right when I told you my shirts were feeling super baggy in the arms. My left thigh lost 1 whole inch. My right thigh lost 1 whole inch. My left calf didn't lose anything. And my right calf lost 0.2 inches for a total of 9 inches lost. There's no ifs, ands, or buts there. That is a celebration. 9, almost a foot of my body gone. 9 inches. That's amazing. But here is one of the other victories. So let me just show it to you and then I'll read it to you. So BSR. Remember, this is a 3-dimensional scan of your body. It's 3-dimensional, so it can see depth, width, height, the whole 9 yards. The BSR is a wellness score based on the relationship of your body shape to cardiovascular related risk factors. It answers the question, is my body shape making it more likely to potentially develop certain cardiovascular related health issues? BSR is on a scale from 0 to 100, where 50 is average, but the higher the score, the lower the risk. So you guys get that, right? 50 is average, but anything above that, the higher the score, the lower your risk of developing cardiovascular health issues. So how do I compare? Last year, my BSR was 41. This year, my BSR is 54. I actually improved my score by 13 points. That is something to celebrate. Back to the visceral fat, because I forgot to finish that thought. I lost 1 whole pound of visceral fat. So now we're going to talk about the 3 areas that I got so emotionally wrapped up. Well, number 1, you guys know that I thought I thought I had lost more. I don't know what I was thinking. I had forgot about the 6 months that I spent back. We're not going to revisit that because that's not a good place for me to be. But let's talk about the things that I felt like I had failed at that created the response that you saw yesterday. I lost 1 pound of muscle mass. Now, one of the reasons that I lost a pound of muscle mass could be because I went from working a very active job full-time plus everything else I was doing. I was in a lot more physical fitness challenges, Fitbit challenges, the whole 9 yards. It may have been that my life has become, even though I have things that I'm into, my life has become a lot more sedentary. Therefore, maybe I lost some muscle there. But that's also why I'm putting a halt to the low calorie anything. And I'll get to my metabolism in a minute. But if you do not consume enough calories for your body's output, and you do not have enough protein and protein stored, you do not have enough glucose stored, your body will pull the necessary glucose from your muscle mass. That is a concern for me, that I lost a whole entire pound of muscle. It could be a combination of low calorie and living a more sedentary lifestyle, but the positive spin we're going to put on that is that I can start weight training. I just have to motivate myself, but that's a whole new video. The second piece of discouraging news was that my bone density score did not look like it did last year. So last year, they were super excited and they had me all hyped up because they're like, girl, you got the bones of a 30-year-old. Your bones are amazing. And they just went on about how great my bone score was, and then it dropped this year. They weren't so optimistic. They were like, well, you know, you're getting older and blah, 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 and this is going to happen. You're going to see a decline in your bone density. But also, one of the indicators of my posture stance from my 3-dimensional imaging was that the curvature in my back is getting worse. I do not have scoliosis. The curvature is just my spine is kind of up here towards the top, kind of curves. It always has. I've always had neck pain, shoulder pain, things like that. And so I'm going to have to really work on muscle, and I'm gonna really have to work on posture. I think maybe looking down at the phone like this has been a huge detriment to this curvature and why my posture is now sitting so far off. But that could also, me not being as strong and losing muscle mass is a direct relation to bone density. So this is some stuff that I can improve. It's not lost forever. I can improve it. The biggest hit to my ego yesterday and my sensitivities was my metabolism. The predicted metabolism, that means the lowest amount of calories that I ever want to consume, my resting, if all I did was sleep all day and never got out of bed, my predicted resting rate was 1,442 calories, but I tested at 1,262. So I was 200 calories under what the normal person my age can consume with a rested metabolic rate, which means what? In order for me to run a calorie deficit, I have to eat a little lower calorie than most people. The problem is that I'm an active person. So do I eat my active calories? Do I eat my earned calories? Or do I continue running this massive calorie deficit, which I think is what affected this score? So last year I tested at a rested metabolic rate of 1262. This year my predicted was 1424. but I had lost 10 pounds. That's why my calories went down. My actual was 1184. So I lost almost 100 calories a day in my resting metabolic rate. What the doctors there recommended is that I take some time off of weight loss and do some reverse dieting. That I do some reverse dieting. What they recommended to me is that I start tracking my food mentally when I'm ready. I start tracking my food on weight loss macros, starting with my rested metabolic rate, and that every week I bring it up 50 to 100 calories, stay there for a couple weeks. You guys know I did this a couple years ago. I did a reverse dieting, and I was very successful, up to 1,700 calories. And it was about the same time that I went to have this done, so that may be why my rested metabolic rate was higher than it is this year, but I did lose 100 calories a day. I can also change that by building muscle and adding some strength training to my fitness. So even though those things were really kind of disheartening for me yesterday, they're reversible. I can change that. Now let's talk a little bit about my Euro scale, because everybody likes to talk about how inaccurate those scales are. First thing in the morning, completely naked, no clothes, no water, no nothing, my weight on my Euro scale was 175.2. So if I compare that to my weigh-in at Dexafit, I was actually almost 2 pounds lighter first thing in the morning than after driving an hour to Orlando, drinking an entire bottle of water, where I weighed in at 177.1. So that's a 1.9 difference, which also means 1% lower on the body fat and means a couple pounds lower on the scale. So if I could have taken my Euros data and compared it to this time last year, I would have been sitting at almost 13 pounds loss, and I would be at a body fat percentage of 37, which means I'd only have about 15 pounds to lose. My body fat on my Euro scale had my body fat percentage at 36.4. Please remember that I was 2 pounds lighter, which would have been 1% difference. And Dexafit had me at 38.7 for a 2.3% difference between my scale and their scale, but the weight was 2 pounds difference for 1%. So my scale here is only 1% off of what their scale is. I think that's pretty reasonable. I mean, considering I paid like 46 bucks for it, I think that's very reasonable. My Euro scale has my fat-free body weight at 111 pounds. DEXA has my fat-free body weight at 101.6 for a difference of about 9.4 pounds. I don't think that's a huge discrepancy either way. 10 pounds, give or take 10 pounds, it's not, if it was give or take 25, give or take 30, yeah, that would be a cause for concern, but I don't think 10 pounds difference when you think about the fact that I'm stepping on a scale that's supposedly measuring the water, the muscle, the tendon, the ligament, the tissue, the skin. To be 10 pounds off, I think is pretty great. Some other information I got was that my waist to hip ratio is now 0.84. The waist to hip ratio is also a huge indicator of heart health, right? A healthy hip to waist ratio is 0.6 to 0.8, and mine was 0.84, right? So I only have to bring that percentage from down 0.04 points. I don't think that's going to be very hard, because when I first started this journey, let's see, my waist measurement yesterday was what? 37 inches, and when I started, I was at 50. So I've brought it down a lot. I think I can do it. I think I can do it. My waist circumference, to be healthy, is anywhere between 22 to 32, and my actual waist measurement was 37. So I have 5 more inches to lose off of my waist to make a healthy waist circumference, and I'm sure that's going to bring down my waist to hip ratio as well, putting me in the healthy range. So all of these numbers that made me crazy yesterday, what does this mean? Let's summarize this. I only have good news. I only have about 15 to 20 pounds of actual fat weight on the scale to lose. My average weight loss, if I stay on track, is about 1 pound a week, half a pound a week. So reasonably speaking, by the end of next year, I could be at or close to my ideal weight and move into maintenance. The second piece of good news. In order to reach a healthy body fat percentage, all I have to lose is 11 pounds, and I'm in the highest end of that healthy body weight, which means my percentage of body fat, I'll be normal, healthy. I'll no longer be considered overweight. I only have to bring down my waist circumference another 5 inches. I only have to bring down my waist to hip ratio down 0.04%. So those are very achievable numbers. How long that'll take me to do, I don't know. And I have no more visceral fat. I have no more unhealthy. Like right now, the 5.5 pounds of visceral fat. So if you think about the fat around the brain, the heart, the liver, the lungs, 5 pounds spread out over all of my organs. That is a healthy amount of weight. I don't have any more visceral. Everything I have to lose is subcutaneous. So what does my journey look like for the next week? Guys, honestly, I'm just going to follow phase 1. I'm not going to track. I'm not going to do anything. I could come back a week from now ready to track, ready to try to reverse diet. Right now, I'm not ready to do anything but just to be still. I just need to be still and listen to God and listen what He needs me to do next. Because I need to do what's good for my heart. I need to do what's good for my emotional health. The weight is secondary. And that's my biggest victory, is recognizing that my emotional health is more important than any number, anywhere on this paper, anywhere in the scale. My relationship to God is even more important. So I'm going to be still, do some praying and listening, and I will come back stronger than ever. I'm quite sure. I'm quite sure. That's how diamonds are made, baby. That's how diamonds are made. All right. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sure I'm going to get lots of questions. Patreon, you get first look at this. I'm going to leave it up till tomorrow about this time, and then I'll post it on my YouTube channel. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow with another daily vlog. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite.